Hi everyone, I'm Miriam. Welcome to Fluid Soma. So today I wanted to look at the hand and the relationship between the hand and the shoulder blade, and especially how it relates to certain postures or positions in yoga or other forms of exercise or movement practices where we have weight on our hands, and the transitions from one position into the other while having the hands in contact with the floor. So I brought my skeleton here to, not my skeleton, but this representation of a skeleton here to show you something about the hand and the shoulder blade, because here you can see the shoulder blade, whereas in my body you can't see it. Even if I undress, you can't really see it. So what I want to show you here, or make you pay attention to, is in a way we have kind of two sides to the hand. And we look at the bones of the forearm, we see that there is the little finger, this side here, which is close to this bone here, the ulna, and then we have the thumb, this side, which is closer to the radius. So we can talk about the ulnar part of the hand and the radial part of the hand. So the ulnar part of the hand is where the little finger is, the pinky, and then the radial part of the hand is where there is the thumb. And this kind of corresponds with the scapula. And I'm gonna show you something that's maybe not refined or specific, really, but just stay with me to see where this will lead to. Okay, so if I place my hands this way, you can see that my pinky fingers, my little fingers, are in relationship to the lateral side, the outer side of the shoulder blades. And when I put my hands this way, you can see that my thumbs are in relationship to the medial side, the inner side of the shoulder blades, just in the position of my hands right now. And what I want to say is this connects to this idea of the ulnar hand. So this side, the outer kind of side of the hand when it's positioned this way, and the radial side of the hand. So the lateral side of the shoulder blades and the muscles that are close to that have a connection with the ulnar side of the hand, and the medial part of the shoulder blade has a connection with the radial part of the hand. And this will become clearer when we go into movement and try some things. Okay, so I'm going to put the skeleton away, get the theory out of the way, and get into practice and feeling it in our bodies. Okay, so we're going to practice a little bit certain movements and transitions from one posture to another to play with this idea of the connection between the ulnar part of the hand and the outer edge of the shoulder blade, and then the radial part of the hand and the inner or medial part of the scapula, to find that connection there. And also just to say that you can take this really as an exploration. It's just for you to explore and to see what makes sense in your body, and that your body will give you the answers. So you can say it's not just like the truth. It's something to play with, something to explore and to feel in your own body. Yeah, okay, so we'll start. We're gonna come onto our belly and rest for a moment. So you can have your hands one on top of the other, and you can place your forehead on top of your hands or a cheek if you prefer, just taking a moment to relax a bit. So we're letting our body settle. Trying to let go of any extra effort, any extra contraction or tension that might be present in the body. There's some contraction, of course, but what's not necessary to be in this position is not needed and can be let go of. All right, and then from here, let's move into a sphinx pose. So we have our elbows down on the floor, our palms are down on the floor, and our elbows are pretty much the width of our shoulders, so not open to the sides too much, so we can feel supported. And we're going to relax the legs. And here we can have a tiny bit of engagement in the lower abdominal muscles. And we can also find an engagement in the transverse abdominal muscle. So that goes across from top to bottom. We're going to start to feel the weight of our body really being supported by our hands and our arms, our forearms. And our glutes are soft, relaxed. I'm not tightening my glutes, letting them relax. And I'm going to drop my weight through my hands and my forearms towards the ground. And then I'm going to start slowly to push away. So I'm releasing my weight and pushing away from the front of my mat. Almost like I want to push myself backwards. And we're going to start to let this movement get a little bit faster. So it's like a rocking motion. I'm letting go of the weight down and pushing back. And try to have it be an easy movement. So if you find that you're tensing up or creating more tension in your body, just come back to being still and just drop the weight. And that is the action of yielding your weight, giving into gravity. Yeah. Good, so staying here. You can either do that pushing back or just simply stay still and just feel the weight being supported by the hands, with the earth underneath the hands. Great. And now from here, let's start feeling the ulnar part of our hand, so where our little finger is, and lift the thumbs off the floor. And really feel that pushing action through that part of the hand, the ulnar side of the hand and the forearm. And just feel how it connects to the muscles on your back, to the sides of your shoulder blade. When you do that, do you feel an engagement maybe in the muscles there? I'm feeling support. So for example, if I were to come up into a cobra, I can really feel the support of that part of my hand, that ulnar part of my hand, connecting to the lateral side of my shoulder blade when I push into a cobra, for example. And especially as I'm pushing in that process of the transition from the sphinx into the cobra, I really feel that support there to bring me into cobra. And also as I lower. Yeah, so you can play with that a couple more times for yourself. Lifting the thumbs, feeling really contacts through the little finger, the pinky, and the outer edge, if you want, of the hand, that ulnar side of the hand, to find that support, that stability to bring you into, for example, cobra, where there's more weight onto my hands and connection to the lateral side of my shoulder blades. And then let's take a moment to rest. Again, just bringing the hands one on top of the other, relaxing the forehead, or maybe turning the cheek to one side or the other. Maybe turn your head to the other side. And we come back to our sphinx pose. And now we're going to go to the opposite side of our hand, so the side where the thumbs are, which is the radial part of the hand. So you're kind of lifting your little finger, your ring finger, and maybe even middle finger off the mat. Or if you want to place your middle finger down on the mat, you can do that as well. See what feels good for your body. And see what happens if you try to push with that part of your hand. How different does it feel from when you try to push with the pinky side of the hand? Just notice where it engages in relationship to your shoulder blades. And you might notice, as I'm noticing for myself, that I feel it connects more to the inner part of the shoulder blades or the medial part of the shoulder blades, and it invites more possibilities of movement, of mobility. I feel like I can really move my shoulder blades around my upper back, around my rib cage, so it invites more a sense of mobility for me than support or stability. And you can go back to the ulnar side and see the difference. When I am on my ulnar side, I don't find as much possibilities of mobility. I find more strength, if you want. And when I go to my radial side, I have more, greater range of movement in my shoulder blades. And then take a rest again, because it can be quite tiring for the arms. And then let's come back to our sphinx pose. And now from here, let's relax the head a little bit further down towards the floor, and we're going to transition from here to a tabletop position. And as you do that, notice for yourself which part of your hand do you use more to get you into the next pose, the tabletop position. And you can do that a couple times to play with it, to feel more, maybe slowing it down. To notice what happens in your hands instinctively. Do it kind of instinctively, see what happens. Where do you feel you need to put more weight in your hands to push yourself to come up? And what happens when you are up on your hands and knees? Where does the weight transfer in connection to your hands? And see if you can also feel the connection to the shoulder blades. Maybe try it one last time. I'm noticing for myself as I start to transition, after I've come up, when I'm starting to transition, I feel the need to push more on the inside part of my hand, so the radial part of my hand, to get moving. And then, when I am on all fours, I feel more stable by pressing more on the outer part of my hand, the ulnar part of my hand. And I feel more support in the sides of my shoulder blades and the muscles around there. And then you can play with pushing the ground. It's the same idea that we were doing on our belly. So we're yielding, we're giving our weight down to the earth through the arms, through the hands, and then we're pushing our weight back with the hands, yielding and pushing. Great. And let's explore, last thing, the transition from all fours to downward dog, and notice what happens there. So you can tuck your toes under, and then from there, just notice what happens as you push yourself to your downward dog. And let's try that one more time. Where does your weight want to go? And try to forget, maybe if you are very familiar with doing yoga and doing this transition often, forget what maybe you've been told to do and see really what happens in your body, what comes up, what you feel. And let's try it one last time. And I'll speak a little bit about my experience, which may be similar to your experience. As I start to push my weight back towards the toes, I feel more connection to my thumb and my radius. And then it transitions as I lift my hips up and come more into my downward dog. Now I feel more the connection through my little finger and my ulna bone here. And maybe you've heard in yoga classes to put equal pressure on the index fingers, to spread your hands, and to kind of push on the inner part of your hand as well as the outer part of your hand when you're in downward dog. Personally, it hasn't worked for me to do it that way. I feel I need to have a bit of space underneath my index finger, under the knuckle. And I feel like I'm more stable, and it doesn't put as much pressure in my shoulders when I put more weight on the outer part of my hand, on that ulnar side of my hand. And then come back down, bring the knees down. And similar like with the foot, in the sense that when my hand is down, it's like the inner arch of the hand is lifted and I'm not pressing it down on the mat when I'm in downward dog. So I feel more, it feels better for me to have more weight on the outer part of my hand, that ulnar side of the hand, than the radial side of the hand. So anyway, these are some things that I wanted to share with you, to play with, to notice when you're doing these postures, when you're doing these movements, when you're doing these transitions, especially if you practice yoga a lot and you might find yourself doing these transitions a lot. Just pay attention to the details, the subtle movements that are happening in relationship to your hand and your shoulder blades, or the muscles around the shoulder blades. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Bye.